Greetings. This is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boss Rhines, and I'm a little west of Hihara, and this is the historic marker of the Mary Turner lynching. That's the week of rampage in May of 1918, when 15 to 25 blacks was murdered outright in Brooks County, Georgia. Around the world, people have heard about the Mary Turner lynching, but there were many other blacks that was also lynched. And it all started from this black individual that apparently murdered Mr. Hampton, who was a plantation owner, and he would bail blacks out of the Brooks County jail, and he would let the blacks work their bill off. But he had a reputation of doing that. But then after the blacks had worked and paid the bill, he still had them to work on his plantation for nothing. And so he had a bad reputation for that. And eventually, to make a long story short, Sidney Johnson was one person, along with Hayes Turner, that didn't like it, because Hayes Turner did not have anything to do with his death, is what we have read. But it was Sidney Johnson. And the rest of the story can be seen on this YouTube channel. But I'm out here today because I have an individual. He is very unique. He's unique in that he's from the black experience. And I met him a few years ago, and he has dedicated a lot of his time for civil rights and working with Minister Floyd Rose, and he was the founder of the Serenity Church, and he also worked with the black business group there in Valley, Boston, and Lowndes County. And so I wanted him to say a few words because he has served in 2 wars that we know about, and I want him to tell me what he think about the historic history of Mary Turner, and you know, some of their family members are still living. And so, what's your name, my brother?
Oh, I'm Paul Ransom, retired Air Force.
Okay.
And retired teacher from the Department of Corrections in California. And I'm also the Black history historian at the Serenity Church right here in Valdosta, Georgia. And in one of our presentations is about Mary Turner, who was lynched right here. I understand the place where she was lynched, but this is the monument that was put up. And right after it was put up, there are 5 bullet holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the monument. The nearest site on May 19th, 1918, 21-year-old Mary Turner, 8 months pregnant, was burned, mutilated, and shot to death by a local mob after publicly denouncing her husband's lynching the previous day. So in the days immediately following the murder of a white planter by a black employee on May 16th, at least 11 local African Americans, including Mary Turner, died at the hands of a lynch mob. Well, you can read that. Yep. Mary Turner's husband, his name was Hazel, but they called him Hayes. Hayes Turner was in jail for challenging this same white man that was killed for beating his wife. So they put Hayes Turner in jail. The next day, the man that he bailed out, what was his name? The man, the farmer, and I can't think of his name.
Hampton.
Hampton. Okay, Hampton, who was the owner of the plantation, bailed this guy Johnson out of jail to work, and he was a guy that beat his employees, and he beat this guy Johnson. Johnson was sick and didn't want to work, so he beat him. Johnson killed him. So the mob looking for this guy Johnson to lynch him for killing the white man, and somebody suggested that Mary Turner's husband the day before challenged the same guy about beating Turner's wife, Mary Turner. So even though Hayes Turner had nothing to do with the death of Mr. Hampton, they took Hayes Turner out of jail and lynched him along with this other guy that did the killing. Mary Turner protesting the death of her husband, saying he had nothing to do with it. They lynched her to teach her a lesson. She was 8 months pregnant. She was hung up by her heels, doused with some inflammable
Gasoline and motor oil.
Gasoline and motor oil, set her on fire. The baby was cut out of her while she was hanging upside down. When the baby hit the ground and cried, the baby was stomped to death by the white mob. And then after burning and shot her, they killed her. Then they erected this monument, and somebody put 5 bullet holes in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the spot of the monument, but the spot of the lynching is private property now. There's a fence up there, and you can't go back there now. But this is the story now. I made it a point, since I do the moment in Black History at Serenity, that during the month of May, on the first Sunday in May of every year, as long as I'm alive from now on, I probably only got a few more years, but I'm going to try to live to be 100. I got about 16 more years to go. But every May, first Sunday in May, my presentation is going to be on the lynching of Mary Turner. So if you're in Valdosta, Georgia, come to Serenity, 1619 Lee Street, Floyd Rose, civil rights activists. He's our senior pastor, he's our senior servant, and we're led now by Dr. Gerald Williams. So if you get a chance, come by and visit us here in Valdosta.
Okay, now I'm going to get a little comical here. This is going to be a part of the video. I got in this vehicle here, and I noticed these little people shaking, 2 Hulu girls, and I think that's Santa. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. What's your age now?
I'll be 84 in December.
You 84? What you doing with Hulu girls up here? I mean, come on, man. What's that all about?
That's what you call eye candy.
All right, we can go then. I just had to throw that in. YouTube and Facebook watches. I just believe in having fun, my beautiful brother. He inspires me so much, because when I get to be 84, 94, 104, I want to be just like him. All right, brother, peace be unto you. That's where you want to go now. You want to head on back to Valdosta?
Well, wait, whatever's next on the agenda.
Let's go to the campground, then we'll go.
This way?
Yes, sir. Make a right and we'll go.
All right.
Thank you. to a crisp, then riddle her body with bullets.
Many stories are passed from one generation to the next, but over time, stories fade. Tonight, local citizens are determined to keep one particular story alive. Eyewitness News reporter Greg Goldberg brings us the nearly 100-year-old tale of Mary Turner. A warning, some of these descriptions are graphic.
The Mary Turner case is one of the darkest in the history of this country.
Some people have forgotten it, some don't even know about it.
After 90-some years, it's about time for something to be said.
It was 1918 in Brooks County, Georgia. A white plantation owner beat one of his black workers. The worker then killed him. Historians say it set off a week-long killing spree of at least 13 African Americans. 96 years ago this month, Mary Turner was 21 years old and 8 months pregnant.
And they took her to a tree. They tied her ankles around a limb of that tree. And then they took a knife and cut open her stomach. And when the baby fell to the ground, one of the men took the heel of his boot and crushed its head until it was dead.
They soaked the body in gasoline and motor oil, burned it to a crisp, then riddled her body with bullets. And they say the mob members marked her grave with a whiskey bottle.
This historical marker is the only public display in Brooks County that memorializes the events of that week. It's called Mary Turner and the Lynching Rampage. The marker stands at Folsom's Bridge over Little River between Barney and Hahira. Somewhere in these woods is the tree where historians say Mary Turner was lynched. You won't be able to find this story in any libraries or museums in South Georgia. Generally, the story is only known through word of mouth.
I can understand that. If it happened, it should be read about and known about.
James Turner is a relative of Mary. He knows the story from listening to his father, who was born the same year she died. Jeremy Henry is a relative of Willhead, another man who was killed in the week-long rampage. He's led his own journey to find out what happened.
A lot of them just now really kind of coming forth with it, but some of those older people that may have heard it hands-on from their parents have kind of died off.
At least 13 people were killed, including Mary Turner's husband, Hayes Turner. Many black people protested to the sheriff, but records show he didn't respond. The newspaper headlines read, "Her talk enraged them. Mary Turner taken to Folsom's Bridge and hanged." Sidney Johnson, the man who killed the plantation owner, was later found in Valdosta on South Troop Street, where he was shot and killed. It's reported a crowd of 700 watched as a rope was tied around the neck of his dead body and then dragged 16 miles from Valdosta to Morven. Nearly 100 years later, these events are long over, but there are still some who are determined never to forget.
And now they want us to forget. They never asked the Jews to forget what happened to them, and the Jews won't let those who were responsible forget it.
In Brooks County, Georgia, Greg Goldberg, WCTV Eyewitness News.
More than 500 people fled Brooks and Lowndes County shortly after the Rampage Week. Mary Turner is memorialized at a museum exhibit in Baltimore. Mike McCall has your midweek forecast coming up right after this
Okay,
break.
now I'm going to get a little comical here. This is going to be a part of the video. I got in this vehicle here and I noticed these little people shaking, two hula girls, and I think that's Santa. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. How what's your age now?
I'll be 84 in December.
You 84? What you doing with hulu girls up here? I mean, come on, man. What's that all about?
That's what you call eye candy.